Good morning, children. Hope you're all fine. So, yesterday we had a class of Deepwater William Douglas where we have had an introduction of the lesson where all of you have discussed different kinds of fears that you have. Some of you are still continuing with your fears, and some of you have told me that you have deliberately made an attempt to overcome some of your fears. So it is very usual that each one of us have our own fears. So today we are going to learn the lesson Deep Water by William Douglas. This lesson Deep Water is an excerpt from his book of Men and Mountains. So, Of Men and Mountains is a book written by William Douglas. Our present lesson is an excerpt from this book. So, just a brief introduction about William Douglas. William Douglas is an American writer, and from childhood he has been physically challenged, but through his sheer willpower and his determination, he did his best to overcome this handicap, and through his hard work, he has attained the highest post of becoming the Justice of the American Court. And also, he has to his credit the greatest advantage of serving the Court of America for 36 long years. But children, do you know that he too had a phobia? So yesterday we have discussed a lot of phobias. So his phobia was the fear of water. So this fear prevented him from enjoying different kinds of water games, because as a child he faced many bitter experiences. Two major experiences he had faced in his life, and so he was suffering from the phobia of water. So what did he do? He didn't remain quiet. He made a very deliberate attempt to overcome this fear, and ultimately he became victorious. So let us go into our lesson, children. I'll just briefly tell you the summary and then we'll go line by line. Okay. So when William Douglas was just a child, he was only 3 or 4 years old. And then his father took him to the beach in California. Yes. Okay. He went to a beach in California. And then it was a very casual occasion, but then a big wave knocked him down. And when he fell down on the water, a great fear crippled him. When his father saw him, he thought that it was just a joke. But for the child, it was not a joke. It had a lasting impression on him, because he developed the phobia of water from the instant at the beach in California. And then later, when he was 11 or 12 years old, he went to a pool in YMCA. So, a child who has already had a fear of water wanted to go to the YMCA pool because he wanted to overcome this fear. So, I am sure you all know the expansion of YMCA, children. It is Young Men's Christian Association. This YMCA swimming pool was usually used during the summer holidays. And so, William Douglas had gone there because nobody was there. He wanted to just have a feel of the water. And then, when he had gone there, there was a big boy who was much older than William Douglas. And this boy was like a bully. Okay, sometimes because now you are in class 12 and you are the highest class in the whole school, you go and try to rag your juniors. But during the recess time, you try to go and bully them. So this boy wanted to come and make fun of William Douglas, who was very small and very skinny. Sometimes you too go to the primary classes and try to have fun with the small children. So what did this boy do? He came and he just pushed William Douglas into the water. So just imagine a boy who doesn't know swimming being pushed by somebody who is older than him. And as he was pushed into the YMCA swimming pool, you know what happened? He went down into the water. And then the same fear returned. The fear which he had as a small boy when he was 3 or 4 years old. The same fear returned. But then what did he think? He thought maybe he would float up into the water just like a cock. But this did not happen. He went right down. He touched the basement of the swimming pool, which was 9 feet. And then what happened? You know what would happen to a drowning person? All the water went into his nose, into his lungs, and then he was unable to breathe. But the only thing was he was still alive. He was conscious. But then he was full of fear because nobody was around to help this small boy. So just imagine a small boy in a swimming pool full of water. And you can see him right here. Okay, he almost drowned. Okay, he was trying to shout for help, but the voice was not coming out of his mouth because he was surrounded by water on all sides. Okay, and then after some time, the big boy who pushed him into the water, he understood the gravity of the situation. He understood that something was seriously wrong. By the time he saw, it was a very serious incident. Okay, and then as he lay in the swimming pool, he was going into a state of oblivion. He felt it very relaxing because as long as he was conscious, he was afraid. But as soon as he became unconscious, he felt that it was very comforting, and that was what he remembers. After some time, he finds himself next to the swimming pool. And you know what happened? The big bully who pushed him finally took pity on this boy, and then he pulled him out of the swimming pool. But you know, it had a terrible impact on this small boy with 2 terrible experiences of nearly drowning in the water. But then you know what William Douglas has done? He didn't keep quiet. He engaged a swimming instructor for himself. He thought that he is going to somehow overcome his fear of water. And then the swimming instructor, who already knew that this boy who had a phobia for water, he arranged for a pulley. And then he tied a rope to this boy. And slowly he let him down into the water. So step by step, every day, the swimming instructor built a real swimmer out of William Douglas. So step by step, gradually, he was able to overcome his fear of water. And finally, he became a professional swimmer. Can you imagine, children, a boy with 2 terrible experiences could overcome his fear of water, and that too gradually. So it was because he had a bent of mind. He was full of determination. He had a lot of willpower, because every time he saw any pool of water, all his friends were enjoying the water games. So you know what are the water games, children, every year when you go to the beach? Some of you swim, some of you do rafting, some of you do canoeing, okay? Some of you do surfing, all these things. So this boy, William Douglas, was unable to enjoy any of the games which his friends were enjoying. And this started crippling his life. He had a fear that when all his friends were enjoying, he was away from the water sports and the water games. So he decided that though he was the Chief Justice of America, this fear was crippling him. So gradually he tried to overcome this fear by engaging a swimming instructor, and he became such a professional swimmer that he was able to practice different kinds of strokes. Okay, the back stroke, the front stroke, the butterfly stroke, the crawl stroke. Some of you, I think, are all some of you might have had some idea of swimming. So different kinds of swimming, and then he was able to swim across different rivers. So it was not only the beaches, it was not only the swimming pools. He swam across long rivers that built him up, that built him as a professional swimmer. And not only as a professional swimmer, it also built a lot of confidence in him. Confidence. And also determination. Okay? But every time he entered a pool of water, the same old fear returned. And you know what he was telling? Mr. Terror, you get out from me. Mr. Fear, get out from me. Okay? So he was able to drive away fear from his heart, because the reminiscences and remnants of his fear always came back to his mind. So children, so we have a beautiful quote from Roosevelt. You know who's Roosevelt? Roosevelt is the President of America. He was the former President of America. There's a beautiful quote which President Roosevelt says, all we have to fear is fear itself. So you can all memorize this line. All we have to fear is fear itself. So there is nothing in the world that we need to be afraid of. We just need to fear itself. What do you mean by fear? We need to be careful. We need to be conscious. We need to be cautious that we will not be crippled by any kind of fear. And if you have any kind of fear, we need to deliberately overcome it. So it is such an inspiring lesson about William Douglas, a great personality in America. Okay, so he was able to explore and swim across the deep waters because he had a willpower to overcome his fears. So in life, we come across different kinds of fears. We should make a deliberate attempt to overcome them. So this is the summary of the lesson, children. So tomorrow we are going to read word by word and line by line. Okay, thank you.